Greetings, dear friends. We welcome you at the International Roundtable, which is a continuation of the Global International Conference Global Crisis. This already affects everyone, held on the 24th of July 2021 on the platform of the ALLATRA International Public Movement. This unprecedented event is organized by volunteers from more than 180 countries, together with scientists, researchers, representatives of business, government, and diplomacy unite to give a comprehensive overview of the global crisis that already affects every person in the world. The conference was interpreted by volunteers into 72 languages so that we all could finally know the truth. This conference has opened our eyes to the real situation on our planet. Let's reflect more on this global event.
On the threshold of a global systemic crisis, as we face planet-wide catastrophes, the largest scale unification of people in the known history of humankind, organized by people from 180 countries of the world, interpreted into 72 languages by volunteers live. Thousands of rebroadcasts on streaming platforms worldwide. Millions of viewers around the planet. International Conference Global Crisis. This already affects everyone. On the ALLATRA platform, a total of 72 speakers spoke out during the 12-hour live broadcast. Leading scientists, world-renowned opinion leaders, international activists and artists, and governmental representatives raised the most acute issues of modern society. What is the development of artificial intelligence leading to? What is the real scale of the ecological crisis? What is not being discussed at any forum on climate about the causes of natural disasters not related to human activity? How are we destroying the planet's resources and its biosystem? What is happening to the Earth's core? What conditions are climate refugees in? How can humanity unite to build the creative society where life is the main value? This event is completely changing the way we look at the world, because finally, people are speaking the truth. And this is just the beginning. We invite you to the next conference on December 4th, 2021. Global Crisis. Time for the truth.
Hello, dear friends. Our world will never be the same after the conference which took place on the 24th of July. Now we have a choice, and it depends on what we will choose, how our world will look like in the near future. And now people from all over the globe are joining hands in the preparation of the next conference, Global Crisis, Time for the Truth, which will be held on the 4th of December 2021. And together, we will reveal even more facts and details about the approaching environmental and climate disaster, and what is more important, about the only real way out. This time, the conference will be simultaneously interpreted by volunteers into many more languages, so that the truth could be heard even in every corner of the world by every person. And we invite everyone to join this international team, as together we can do much, much more. And today we will talk about climate crisis and interconnection of all spheres of our life. We will discuss whether we are ready for what is happening already now. And we will discuss what we can do to preserve life on our planet. And now I would like to present our dear guests. Ken D. Foster from the United States, philosopher, visionary, business strategist, author, and syndicated radio show host. And Merab Hachapuridze from Georgia, excellent farmer and amazing wine grower. Thank you, dear guests and viewers, for being with us today. Thanks a lot.
If you, our dear viewers, haven't yet watched the conference Global Crisis, this already affects everyone. We strongly suggest to do so. Trust us, this will really change your picture of the world we live in. We have a set of questions to our dear guests, and I'd like to start with our guest, Ken Foster. Ken, could you please share your feedback on the conference? What impressed you or shocked you the most?
Well, what impressed me the most is the collaboration from around the world and individuals all coming together for one purpose: to change the planet, change themselves, and make the world a better place for everyone.
Thank you so much. Yeah, that was really great collaboration. Yeah, so many people were involved, and more to come. The same question to you, Merab. What touched you most of all during the conference? What insights would you like to share with our viewers?
Здравствуйте, еще раз.
Hello again. Well, I had a very big insights because I knew almost anything about the situation now, and what was voiced during the conference, it was very impressive and very hard, because if you live your life with closed eyes and you know only what the mass media told you, but the truth is so hard, is so impressive that it is hard to stay untouched and to see all the lie that was being told us by the mass media. It has impressed me and all the other person who heard this information. It is hard, but we can win. And we need to prepare for this. Thank you.
Thank you for your feedback. And that's true. The truth that was voiced at the conference was really hard to hear. But the thing was that it was the truth. And it's better to get prepared to know the truth and get prepared. And then, just not to know the truth, ignore the truth, and not be prepared for that. That's why we are here today. We are here to voice and continue to talk about the truth so that more and more people would listen, would join. Thank you so much. The conference, besides the truth that was voiced out, the conference has raised also the vital issues that concern everyone. Taking into account the rapidly escalating climate crisis, such changes will lead to a collapse in society. Let's watch together the video, which are reports of eyewitnesses of climate disasters. Let's watch the video.
Climate is changing before our eyes. People are losing their lives. Each of us can be left homeless at any moment. Are you ready to hear the truth from eyewitnesses of the events?
And Texans statewide was reported over 2,500 of the highest low record temperatures ever recorded.
This summer, Western Canada has faced extreme heat, and many cities have reached record high temperatures. The Canadian Rocky Mountains have been burning more than they have in the past 2,000 years.
There was an anomalous, catastrophic event in Cuba when a strong tornado struck some municipalities in the city of Havana. This sudden and violent event caused great horror and anxiety among the population.
The people of Tabasco are now very afraid because the season of rain and hurricanes is damaging a lot of houses. Everything is flooded. In an instant, the downpour causes people to lose everything they worked for.
There have been some violent storms lately that are changing people's lives. They not only affect people's lives but also deprive them of their means of subsistence, leaving people stranded and terrified, not knowing where to go or what to do.
So it was from one extreme to the other. We were on fire at one point and then we were underwater.
Till March 20th, we had 40,000 aftershocks, the largest of which were of magnitude 5.7.
Unprecedented frosts have blanketed much of France. There hasn't been a cold snap like this for decades.
Really, I imagine 2019, I hear I have a cyclone in Fani in India. I seen it in my own eyes. I witnessed to myself. So I really lost to my paddy fields. I really lost to many animals also. And I hear many people destroyed their home and they are also homeless.
Several flooding occurs every 4 to 5 years and covered 60% of the land mass. The condition of vulnerable people during natural disaster is just unthinkable and undesirable. It's always difficult to describe how miserable their life was.
People are worried because they actually don't know what to expect or what to hope for.
Decades have passed since the original flood control plan was developed, but it has never been implemented. People are still in danger.
There was a freezing rain in Vladivostok. Trees and cars were covered with an ice crust. Many people were left without electricity, without water, without heating.
We were cleaning it all by hand. And one man said, "I'll help you with the first bridge. Then I'll go get the tools I have at home. I'll take my tools and we'll help finish the job." The man returned with his tools in his hands. I asked, "How is your house?" "I don't have a house." He kept on cleaning because what else did the man have to do?
Part of the country is flooded. What is happening in Belgium now is a huge tragedy for its residents. In some areas, the river level has risen by 2.5 meters. Houses are flooded. Cars are floating along the streets that have turned into rivers. People climb onto the roofs waiting for rescuers, but the water is coming up and no one knows what to expect next.
Deadly volcanic eruptions have been experienced in other parts of the continent, and the latest ravaged parts of the Democratic Republic of Congo, which caused severe damages and casualties, and also forced thousands of people into evacuation and also into terrible living conditions.
At times it's really extreme. There's flooding So sometimes people are affected, like people end up drowning, but mostly people have to move with their families, they lose property.
Trees and so many agricultural products destroyed. This is the first time we've seen such instances happening in this country.
So when I witnessed the disaster of the climate, about the migration of the farmers from the riverside to the around the town and lead their life on the roadside because of the climate change disaster or the overflooding of the river affected their area, their agriculture, their home.
Local media do not report on some events which is happening in China right now. So a logic question arises, why are people not given the true information about what is happening with the climate right now?
Now we have to start to solve this problem intensely, because soon it may be too late.
I also witnessed the storm that hit us in Saarland about a week ago. Apart from flooded basements and fallen trees, we were not as badly affected as people in neighboring regions who face severe flooding, landslides, and mud, lava-like flows that buried entire houses and much more. People are still without water, without electricity, without means of communication, without food. They are still trapped on rooftops and cannot cross some roads because the roads are no longer there. We were predicted that climate change would be tangible in 50 or 100 years, but now we know that it is very close and very real, even here in Germany.
Doch jetzt wissen wir, dass sehr nah ist und sehr real, auch hier in Deutschland.
Hello, I'm David from Germany. Just recently, we had severe flooding. People were shocked and not ready for this. Suddenly, we saw how just a few hours of heavy rains caused flooding that washed away cars and houses. This was really shocking to all of us. We were in a state of shock as something that seemed to be very distant was right here at our door. If we take a look a few years back, we must note that extreme weather events occur due to climate change. We had a severe drought in Germany during the last 3 years, and now suddenly there is such a flood. There is no doubt that the climate is changing, and because of this, the frequency of these extreme events is increasing. Even such an industrialized country as Germany was not, in my opinion, properly prepared and proved to be quite vulnerable and susceptible to such events. People were not warned and were not evacuated in advance. Obviously, the disaster management service did not work. If we take a look at the climate situation in the world, we see that new record-breaking droughts, flooding, and forest fires occur everywhere. Human life is in danger more often, and now it has affected Germany. Many people lost their lives, and more than 1,000 people are still missing. We, people, feel that we need to do something. Only by uniting, we have at least some chance to cope with such situations, which are becoming more frequent. Creative society is a solution for change in the society, exactly in which a human life will be the highest priority, in which necessary conditions to protect human life throughout the world will be created. Just imagine what the least developed countries will do. These countries have no opportunities whatsoever to overcome extreme climatic events, and human life is not protected there. I think that in recent days, we, Germans, have realized how important it is for us to unite, to stick together, and not to let anyone divide us. Only together do we have prospects for the future. Exactly such a prospect is what the creative society offers. It's our only way out, because only in unity can we protect human life and ensure a future for us and future generations.
Breaking News on Alatra TV is an international project which is created by volunteers from all over the world with the purpose of informing about large-scale, anomalous, and uncommon natural disasters. This is daily comprehensive analysis and monitoring of information about the state of the planet. People break silence in order to convey the truth about the climate crisis and the way out of it. To survive, we need to act together today. Otherwise, tomorrow will be too late.
It is really heartbreaking even to watch footage of all these climate catastrophes, not to mention what people felt who became eyewitnesses of those catastrophes. And of course, there is an interconnection of the climatic events all over the planet and living conditions of people in different countries. If there is a drought in one country, of course, it is not limited just to its territory. It also affects people in other countries, both in terms of economy and lifestyle. We can see all these horrible things happening right now all over the world. A lot of people have no food, no shelter, and so on. Mirab, please, could you tell us, what do you feel about all that, about these climatic catastrophes, about the global climate change? How, in your opinion, will this affect our lives in the near future?
Of course it will, of course. The changes, they are not available, as is in ecology sphere, as in social. We saw thousands of refugees, and it's only beginning. It's only beginning, but the worst thing is not climate. The worst thing is people who cannot pass refugees to their home. They are cold people, and they cannot take the refugees. When on one hand the one finger is damaged, all the hand pains, but it's only the one finger. And if we cannot understand this truth, that we are one organism, and we will understand that we people are all united, we will not understand anything, then we should understand the pain of the other person. Our hearts became cold because the format where we live right now is for 6,000 years. It destroys the soul of a human. It destroys all the necessary for a human. And yes, no one can stay calm watching such videos. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you, dear Mr. Mirab Khajapuridze, for this important feedback message. That's true that we, the humanity, is one body, and the format that we're living in is kind of cancerous to our own self, to the humanity itself. That's why we're here to raise the topic of building creative society around the globe. Thank you for your feedback. We were just talking about the disastrous nature of the climate crisis and other socio-economic challenges. And dear Mr. Foster, in your opinion, how interconnected are all spheres and processes in our society? What is the impact of the global crisis on every person, regardless or despite their nationality, their status, and country of residence, and so on? Mr. Foster, please.
Yes. So here's how we're all interconnected. This is a wake-up call for everybody in the world. It's a wake-up call to realize that, first of all, we are all connected. Second of all, it's a wake-up call to remember our own divinity, our own power and passion within our own hearts. We're not victims here, although it feels like we are. But what's happening, pain is a great motivator to help us wake up, to help us to become something different. There are a lot of people suffering. Don't get me wrong. I have a lot of compassion for everybody that's suffering. But we need to start to understand about environment. And it's not just the physical environment. It's the mental, emotional, spiritual, and physical environments. The inner will reflect the outer. As a collective consciousness right now, we've been very unconscious of how we distribute wealth, of how we use our resources, how we abuse our resources. This is a time for us to call each other and start to understand what is truth. See, where real truth is, we start to feel joy in our hearts where real truth is. So if we're living in delusion as a collective consciousness, it's reflecting that in our environments. It is time to wake up, change how we think together, and start to collaborate together in small groups if we need to start to understand that the mind is the cause of our bondage and the mind is the cause of our liberation. We must come together in a higher mind, in a higher understanding, so that we can solve these devastating problems. It's only going to get worse unless we wake up. If we wake up and we start to get out of delusion and illusion, then life will get better for all of us.
Thank you, Mr. Foster. I couldn't agree more. That's totally true. Where, we need to, leave behind the delusion and start creating the reality of creative society, because human mind, as you mentioned, is also part of our global processes, and everything is kind of interconnected. The mind, the processes, the climatic processes, social processes, everything. And when we, as you said, when we evaluate to a higher set of thinking, frame of mind, that's when we will, become winners in this situation. Thanks for your feedback.
Well, can I give you one more piece? Sure. Albert Einstein said, we can't solve a problem with the mind that created it. And so we have to change our understanding of each other. We really do. We have to start to look at each other in a different way. And if we continue on the path that we're continuing on, with hatred, with anxiety, with judgment, with criticism, with critiquing of our brothers and sisters, this is going to stop us in our tracks. We need to start to come from a higher place of consciousness, a place of connection, a place of courage, a place of love, a place of commitment to helping one another on this planet. If we can come together and collaborate, we will change this.
That's true. That's totally true. And, here we're all united doing that right now. And we also invite more and more people join us and, create this conditions of evaluating, create the conditions of building creative society. Thank you for your feedback, Mr. Foster. And all areas of our society are, as we said, interconnected. But first and foremost, global change affects, if we speak about global change, it affects everyone's life as well. And Mr. Merab Khachaporidze, my question to you, can you please share with us how you see the creative society, a format in which we can overcome any crisis and create all the conditions to ensure that life of every human is protected? Mr. Merab, could you please share your understandings?
Yes, the first and foremost value is human life indeed, because without it, nothing else will be main. The second after that is the freedom, conscious freedom of choice. Not I do what I do, but the creative freedom of choice. The mind of a person must change from the destruction to the creation, because even if you give a stick to a kid, he will turn this stick into the gun and will run and play as with the stick as with the gun. Did you think about where did it take from? It's in our heads, and we need to change it into the creative format, because this very stick can be changed into the something other with which to the magic stick, and we can create with it. So we need to lead to the creative society. There are many fundamental bases that are in the very fundament of all the other problems of our society. Because, for example, to work only 4 times a week, it's also very important. Because if I work for 8 hours, no one can, give my powers back, and my health also decreases. But 4 hours, it's quite enough time to make something. And when I give this energy, it can come back, because and it will not take my health. And we said, first of all, that the human life is the very first basic. And these all fundamental things that we talk about, and people who are talking about these fundamental laws and fundamental basics of creative society, they thought about it quite globally and quite deep. They were very deep to know about all these aspects. I want to say thank you from me, and this is a great society of the future. It must be created, and it is our future. Believe me. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Mirab, for your understandings. It's a pleasure that you have these understandings, because every person counts. Because in order to build a creative society, we need everyone to stay next to each other. And,
Alexei, I'm so sorry. Just a little addition here when Mr. I would like to add that when you said this is created from the view of person, that's exactly what's being done here. This is being created from people around the globe, and that's why it's protecting, first of all, human rights, human freedoms, not just in paper, but in a practical way as well. This is just a little addition that I want to add. Thank you. Sorry.
Thank you. Niles, it's fine. Thank you. Thank you. Yeah. So every person counts, and we speak to many people all the time, and sometimes when we describe the idea, some people say that that's impossible. Some people don't believe that they can be the change. They think that somebody decides everything instead of them, and that they have no power, they have no voice, etc. So Ken, please, could you tell us what the role of every person in the process of building creative society, and what would you suggest to tell to such people who do not believe that they can change the world?
Yeah. Well, I used to be one of those people, so I can relate to that very much so. I felt like a victim in my own life. I felt that things were happening to me and things were crushing me. But I realized that things don't happen to us, they happen for us. And we don't have to be a victim, we can be a victor. But here's how we do it. We have to empower individuals instead of empowering institutions. We need to stop empowering news media, governments, teachers unions in the United States, or any kind of, we need to stop empowering those entities. We need to empower ourselves. How do we do that? We do this by taking our power back. We start out every day in a place. I start every day with meditation. I start every day tuning within. See, because I've found if you don't go within, you go without. If you don't know how to tune into your own creative spirit and open up that creativity that's in every single person, then we start to look around and all we see is lack and limitation, and we feel like a victim. Every individual, I don't care where you are, I don't care if you just had a flood and your house is gone. I know that's heartbreaking. It's hard for us. But there's a truth in this. There's something there for you to learn, to grow, to evolve, to become the power that you are. Gandhi said, be the change you want to see in the world. We all need to be that change. We need to live from compassion, from love, from caring, from giving. We need to all be in service to one another. If we can do that, which is what I practice. I'm not here preaching it. I practice this. I've been practicing it for years. Why? Because living in gratitude and service works. And if we can change the mind into just even if we have a can of food, that's all we have. Be grateful for that can of food. Be grateful for what the lessons are that are showing up in your life to change you, to evolve you, to awaken your soul, awaken your spirit, so that you can become the change that you want to see in your own life. And here's the key. When you change, your family changes. Your community changes. One person can change thousands, millions people when we change ourselves. It's amazing. But maybe you're not going to change millions. But if you do your job right now to change yourself, to just become a little more calm, a little more powerful, a little more creative, a little more compassionate, you know what? You've done your job to change this world.
Thank you so much, Mr. Foster, for the great message, strong message. That's really, I love the part when you said we need to be in service for each other. That's really true, especially in our world today. That's the only way out. And for the change, as far as I remember, Mahatma Gandhi said, be the change you want to see in the world. That's exactly what you just said. Thank you so much. Dear guests, and we also want to thank you for your participation and contribution, for sharing your experience and ideas, for being active. We would also like to remind our viewers that today's roundtable was held in continuation of the conference Global Crisis. This already affects everyone. If you haven't watched it yet, we suggest that you do so, as your future of your children and of each one of us depends on your choice as well. There is no more time to wait for someone or rely on anyone anymore. It's time for us to join hands and build a world that we can feel proud of. Only together can we build the creative society.
And at this particular moment, millions of people worldwide are participating in preparations for the new conference, Global Crisis, Time for the Truth, which will take place on the 4th of December 2021. This time, the topic of environmental and climate crisis, as well as the consequences of the consumer formative society, will be even more deeply revealed. And in order to draw the attention of the whole world to the environmental and climate threat, to the need for unification, and to the possibility of building the creative society, everyone's actions are now highly important. And there is a unique opportunity not just to view the new conference, but also to take part in its organization. If you luckily speak any real language, you are more than welcome to join our huge international friendly team for simultaneous interpreters. It's time for the truth to sound in all languages. Also, if you are a specialist, a scientist who is ready to tell people the truth about the current environmental situation and climate change, or just a person who cares, please write to the following email, info@allatraunites.com, to participate in the international roundtables dedicated to the conference. And if you haven't joined the Creative Society project yet, let's watch together a short video on how easy you can join. See you at the next International Roundtable.